Today we're talking about your fantasy creature's behavior and what you can do to make them behave in a fun and unique way. So, not just a dragon that behaves in every way like a dog, or a six-legged large beast of burden bug that is, in its heart, a horse. What I usually do when I create fantasy creature is that I try to figure out one or two behaviors that are significant for this creature. The things that people will immediately think of when asked what this creature is like. When I think of dogs, I think of the wagging tail and the wanting to lick you in the face. When I think of cats, I think of them going from cuddling and purring to suddenly attacking and destroying all of your things. Horses, prancing and rearing, snakes, basking in the sun, or the quick movements when they hunt. Cows, constantly munching on grass and the entire herd more or less always facing in the same direction. Dolphins, playing and jumping. It's these kinds of behaviors that I start with. If you've done any or all of the things that I've talked about in previous videos in this series, you'll probably already have something to build on. Something about how they hunt, how they build nests, how they communicate, and what they look like might be at least a hint to the thing in their behavior that people immediately recognize as belonging to that creature, even if it's not unique to that creature. If you don't have anything to start from, or if you don't like what you've got so far, let me give you some prompts. Do they have a very adverse reaction to a particular color or scent or sound? Say if you want to walk through their territory without getting assaulted, you might play the violin while walking, because that scares them away. Or the opposite, perhaps there are things they really like and can be used to distract them or lure them. Shiny things, certain food. The best way to hunt this creature is to set a trap using apples as a lure. Are they herd animals who get very nervous or even aggressive when they're alone? Are they calm and friendly unless you touch their snout, at which point they run away or attack? Maybe the weather does something. When it starts to rain, do they start running around and playing, or do they fall asleep if it's very cold? Maybe they have a particular behavior when they are in a group or when interacting with some other species. The group is always synchronized in some way, or when they walk, they always have the largest member of the group first and the smallest last, or vice versa. Or they go in color order. Maybe around your big bug beast of burden, you will always find a particular butterfly, and the two species have some sort of symbiosis going on. That's the first thing that everyone thinks about when they think of either of these creatures. And if you're drawing a blank, look at a real-world animal and steal something. I know I said that you might not want to create a dragon that behaves just like a dog, but that doesn't mean that you can't take anything from a dog. In fact, taking something from a dog and something from another animal is a great way to make your creatures unique. Sure, the dragon might wag their tail when they get excited just like a dog, but they might also be drawn to light like a moth. Honestly, that could make sense. That means breathing fire is probably a way to call other dragons to them. The point is that you can think of behavior in just the same way as what I said in a previous video of combining two or more animals to create a new one. Combine the behavior of two or more animals, and you've got something interesting and unique. And when it comes to behavior in particular, you don't have to take the wagging of a tail from a dog. Say you have a dog with a quirky personality, you can take one aspect of that and turn that into a stereotypical behavior for a fantasy creature. Like, does your dog tend to lick doors for no particular reason? Make that the thing that some creature does. Maybe not specifically doors, but licking in general, or licking a specific kind of thing. Or you can get inspired by other humans, or even yourself. Do you like playing sports? Maybe you will create a creature that has a fondness for round things, like balls, or that gets very restless if it isn't moving around. Do you like painting? Maybe your creature tends to leave beautiful marks on the ground, or tree trunks, or rocks, or something where they live. Could be a way of marking territory or attracting mates. If you want to figure out why they do whatever it is, you can, but you don't really have to. The point of this exercise is simply to give the creature some personality. And not necessarily because you're going to use it a lot in your story, but because these kinds of details can add a bit of depth to your world building. The dragon that's drawn to light, for example. If that's a thing in the world, maybe the cities don't have streetlights, or there are beacons set up to burn brighter than the cities to make sure that the dragons are drawn to there instead, where they can't hurt anyone. And this isn't something you have to make a big deal of in your story. Just mentioning the dragon beacon in passing will give the world building some depth in the eyes of your readers. It hints that the world is more complex than what your story has a chance to cover. That's really the point of everything I've said in this video series so far. I've said it before, unless you're creating a bestiary, you do not need to know all these things about your creatures. The more they're featured in your story, the more you need to know about them, but if they're mostly mentioned in passing, just a couple of details from one or more of these categories could be more than enough. For the moment, I am running out of categories to talk about when it comes to creating fantasy creatures. I'm sure there are many more things I can talk about, and if you have anything you'd like to hear my thoughts on, please leave suggestions in the comments below. Otherwise, I have a lot of other videos on other world building or writing, and YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video next. If that doesn't seem interesting, this is my suggestion. And of course, subscribe if you want to. Thank you for watching, be safe, I will see you next time.